Hey guys, I'm Dov, and today I'm back with more Total War Warhammer 2 multiplayer action. We're here today with the High Elves, going to be continuing our discussion from yesterday about Manticores versus Eagles. I hadn't really played around with Eagles too much, thought they were just generally useless in multiplayer, but I have actually tried them, and I think they have a place in a few matchups and have a decent role, honestly, especially for the High Elves, maybe not so much for the Wood Elves. As they just have a sort of a more well-rounded, cheaper roster. But the High Elves, you're always trying to pinch pennies, cut corners as much as you can with cost. And so, yeah, I've got a pretty strange build, I'm going to be honest here. We're under the banner of Nagarites, so Tuxedo Princes hidden in the forest here. Also got some archers, 3 units of spearmen, a life mage to heal the 2 eagles, and a princess on a moon dragon here. Since we're under the banner of Elithanar, I figured let's grab 1 unit of Shadow Walkers and a unit of Shadow Warriors as well. We've got 4 units of Reavers up against the filthy Dark Elves. And yeah, Morathi is going to be the opponent once again. We've also got a Hydra here, front line of Dread Spears, Bleak Swords. We've got 4 units of Dark Shards with shields, so some heavy ranged fire there. Knights of the Ebon Claw, Cold One Knights, and the Sisters of Singing Doom. Right off the bat, I'm just going to be moving up and sort of doing a bit of skirmishing. So the Eagles, you'll basically see me use these crazy birds more or less as I use the Manticores, sort of as a mobile, like, single entity support. Obviously, they don't have the terror, so they can't do a quick terror bomb, but I mean, they do a pretty good splash attack, especially against lighter units like light, infantry, skirmishers, whatever. You can see Morathi here taking a few hits. We're gonna maybe go for it with the Eagles, but decide to pull away there. Don't really want to face all that Dark Shard fire, so yeah, the MO here is just to kind of break up my opponent's advance as much as possible, because obviously my infantry force is significantly smaller. But yeah, the Shadow Walkers, Shadow Warriors making their way forward here. We're going to use the Princess's ranged attack to go after the Knights of the Ebon Claw here. Unfortunately, that volley of high arrows doesn't make the best contact. If you make good contact, you can actually take out quite a few models, but only took out 1 that time. A little bit unfortunate, but I'm going to start focusing this Hydra a little bit as my opponent's just kind of sitting back at this point. I'm fine to take this ranged engagement as I have much longer range, obviously, than those silly Dark Shards. So yeah, just kind of playing very patiently at this point. You can see the Eagles maneuvering around here. Try to bait out some shots, but my opponent not really taking the bait at this point. But yeah, here come the Knights of the Ebon Claw. They're continuing to take some fire, but they do have a missile block chance, and technically the Glady shot does count as small arms fire, so it will be subject to missile block chance. I'm pretty sure. I'm like 99% sure. But anyway, breath attack comes down. Get a really nice breath attack on those Knights of the Ebon Claw. Just do a ton of damage there. Like 25% of their HP and damage. I was thinking of a quick hit and run charge with these Reavers, but decided to pull away. These other Reavers are going to start to swing up and around, but speaking of hit and run, Eagles, there are no cav in position to stop them here, so I can just quickly charge in, kill a bunch of these Dark Shards, and then quickly pull away. Again, because there's no terror like you get with a Manticore, you can't terrify away something, but a quick hit and run charge for a little bit of free damage. Nothing wrong with that. Meanwhile, Morathi is going to start to take some serious ranged fire as well from the Shadow Walkers and the Shadow Warriors. You can see this unit of Bleak Swords was caught out of position, so like I said, using the Reavers and the Eagles in tandem, which does a ton of shock damage, and we're going to clear out this out of position Dread's Bleak Sword, that is, very quickly. Another volley of high arrows there. That one made a little bit better contact, took out maybe 4 or 5 unit models there, which, considering they have a relatively low model count, is important. Those Knights of the Ebon Claw having taken a lot of damage at range for no damage in return, basically. So far, things are going very well in my favor. I haven't even had to activate the Dragon Princess yet. But now we're focusing on these Sisters of Singing Doom here. I'm also going to move up and start focusing with the regular archers as well. The Princess is just kind of poking away at various targets here, but she's going to go back and use her bow to start to try and finish off Morathi, but I also do need to be careful of those Dark Shards, obviously. Another great thing about the Eagles is because they're relatively small targets, they have pretty small hitboxes. You can see the Dark Shards aren't having the easiest time actually hitting them. But yeah, Reavers coming up and around the flank, and again, quick hit and run on these ranged units. This is exactly what these Eagles are going to be useful for, and especially using 2 of them at a time is a nice little monstrous presence, especially stacked on top of 1 unit. You can see how quickly those Dark Shards are just getting absolutely taken out. The Sisters of Singing Doom also taken out at range. So yeah, all things considered, the balance of power is still pretty even though, considering how much damage we've done to my opponent. And that's mostly just because Marathi's still here, obviously the Hydra as well. But Marathi, only 40 armor, so the Princess's bow attack will actually do quite a bit there. I figured I could stand here and take this fire with that regrowth. Not all of the Dark Shards were focusing there, so it's all good. A little bit of a missed-breath attack there, but Marathi's going to try and get some more HP. Thankfully, she didn't actually cast it on the Princess, so I'm able to move out of the area of effect there. And another volley of high arrows. Ooh, some good contact there again. 4 or 5 unit models. And honestly, I've been taking that more recently just as kind of an anti-cavalry tool. It's pretty decent. But Marathi gets nommed once again by another flying creature, this time the Princess on a Moondragon, and that is going to be immediately a massive dent in the balance of power for the Dark Elves. The 2 Eagles are going to drop down and start to do some damage, and with the leadership effects, this Hydra is going to want to rout. It's also getting shot by my archers as well. You can see the Eagles basically took no damage and are able to rout off this significantly more expensive monsters. So now I can just detach one to chase him, get another one to swing up and around, start going after ranged units. Knights of the Ebon Claw still holding out over on the far side. The Princess is also taking some serious damage from those Dark Shards, but she's also mostly won the battle at this point. I mean, the balance power very, very heavily in my favor. It would be extremely tough. I mean, maybe the Dark Shards could take out the Princess, rally the Hydra, these Knights of the Ebon Claw roll up all these units, but, I mean, let's not forget, I have these Tuxedo Princes that I have, I'm not going to lie, completely forgotten about, and turns out, didn't need them. So yeah, I basically played this without 1,500 points. I know one of you guys had made a comment saying, like, oh, you should do a challenge where you take, like, less points than your opponent. Well, I pretty much did here. I just, you know, didn't use 1,500 points, but anyway. The Grey Eagles, I do think that there's some merit to these guys, especially in supporting this mass Reavers, because Reavers are a little bit cheaper now. You can sort of run a very strong mobile game, where you can use the Eagles to help Reavers trade upwards into more expensive light cavalry. Like I haven't tested it, but I'd imagine it would help you like beat like Centaurs, for example. I don't know about Wild Riders, or things, you know, like Doomfire Warlocks. But I would imagine that with, you know, 2 Reavers and an Eagle, you could beat most light cavalry in the game. And so just as kind of that mobile support, it synergizes well with the new cheaper Reavers. Obviously, in this game, a lot of the heavy lifting was done by these elite Shadow Walkers and Shadow Warriors here, taking down Marathi, doing a ton of damage to the War Hydra, basically finishing off the Sisters of Singing Doom before they even got into combat. So that was pretty nice. 85 kills on the Princess as well. Nice breath attacks. The volley of high arrows as well. Honestly, I really am starting to like the Princess more and more as a Lord choice for the High Elves. I think she's honestly pretty good in a number of different matchups. So let's go ahead and just talk a little bit more about the High Elves. So yeah, Grey Eagles for the price. Pretty decent. They do cause fear, no terror. But they have a good charge bonus. Very good charge bonus, 62. Not the greatest melee defense or armor, but 44 melee attack as well, and again, 110 speed, which is super duper fast. So yeah, I mean, there are some matchups where obviously it's better to take the actual terror-causing Flamespire Phoenix and Frostheart Phoenix, but honestly, the biggest thing with the Grey Eagle, 800 points for 62 charge bonus, I think that might be like one of the best charge bonuses for price in the game, and so to use them kind of very much as a hit-and-run type unit, I mean, they've got the speed, they've got the charge, they've got fear, no terror, but yeah, I honestly think that they might have a use in matchups where you're going to be going up against a lot of light cavalry, or you need to disrupt your opponent's range units potentially, or even just going up against high-value, low-armor targets in general. I think that the Grey Eagle definitely can shine there, and especially in competing with like really hard-hitting fast factions like Beastmen, Norska, stuff like that. I think the Eagle could potentially be a really good tool there. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. If you have used the Grey Eagle, you know, kind of been, what's your thoughts about it? As for the Princess, Honestly, she's a really good character for what she can get. This Luce I don't typically take because I usually have her kind of operating independently, so I don't get that much value from it. Foe Seeker is something you can take if you want to. I typically will cut it with the High Elves just for cost. That Volley of High Arrows, though, definitely can generate some great value. I also tend to take the Talisman of Loic, just in case the princess gets caught out in a melee engagement. It's only a one-time use, but plus 26 melee attack, 25% weapon damage is pretty significant, considering she already has a pretty high melee attack and defense anyway on the dragon. Also does flaming damage, good weapon strength. Of course, you've got the breath attacks as well, so she can kind of act as almost like a flying artillery between the Volley of High Arrows and the dragon breaths. Just rain down fire, similar to like if you were to take like a Chaos Sorcerer, for example, Lore of Fire up on the dragon. Similar, you know, you've got fireball, breath attacks, kind of that air artillery type lord. And honestly, she also has the melee power to charge down and get it done, you know, on the ground as well. So decent option there, especially with supporting Grey Eagles. Let me know what you guys think, but I've just been trying to get in touch with the High Elves again. In making the tier list, I realized there were some matchups that I wasn't super familiar with, and just in general, I think that the High Elves are a very tricky faction to play. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you do like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button so every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.